I'm Pam, I'm Doug's mom. Bruce and I had been married.
And Jenna's mom.
Yeah. And Doug's mom, well, and Jenna's mom. And Oliver, Abby's grandma. But anyway, Bruce and I had been married 10 years before our divorce in 1989. And when we were first married, we lived in a house, and the house was, I'm going to start crying if I see this. Can I turn that off?
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Okay.
We lived in a house in Medical Lake, and it was split so that there was an apartment on the top, and that was where we lived, and it overlooked the lake. And Bruce loved to ride his bike and or jog around that lake, sometimes twice, which would have been 6 miles. And I think he would have been very pleased to know that his final resting place would be the VA cemetery. First of all, just because of the honor for him being a veteran for our country, and he deserved that. But also because we had so many good friends in Medical Lake and that he loved, and so many good memories. So it just kind of seemed fitting that Doug had made that decision. Well, we all know that Bruce could light up the room with his exuberance and his ease around being other people. And when I was going through his apartment, I came upon a photo album that had just the card, or the written card, nothing written in the inside or anything, just on the outside. And it had on there what I wanted to say to his friends. And it said, "There is a destiny that makes us brothers, none goes his way alone. All that we send into the lives of others come back into our own." And you guys really are the evidence of what you meant to him. And just the help that we've received this last month, and people traveled a long way to be at the service today, and that really kind of spoke volumes to me, that how much you loved him too. And from the family, we're just so grateful for all of you. You've all experienced his dickens of a character, I'm sure, too. And that was no more evidence than for family on Christmas morning. You know, depending on the season or how we decorated, sometimes we would have snowmen stockings, or sometimes peace on earth, or the nativity, whatever. But at the end of those stockings, here was Bruce's every single year. And he would come with his bah humbug.
I think we've seen that.
Yes, we have.
Yes.
Yeah, we've seen that ad.
And he would come with a big bag of gifts, and within those gifts were many practical jokes, which either left us laughing or rolling our eyeballs at times. So Bruce, I just want to say, if you can hear me, that we're going to keep those stockings and hat hung. Except I think, and I haven't run this by the kids yet, but I think what we'd like to do is reverse and return the favor to you. And instead of practical gifts, we're going to bring each other practical joke gifts. Such as like you gave us, like monkey butt powder, and holy socks from the local yard sale that you went to, or your face sculpture. His face sculpture. And in your local cold cup, I'm going to continue the tradition of making your dad's favorite recipe of Scottish shortbread. Shortbread. And we will keep that going, and we will remember you. Bruce and I have been divorced for a long time, over 30 years. But over the years, we learned how to barter with one another when we needed something done. For example, he would pull a rose bush out for me, and in exchange, he would bring a big, really big bag of mending for me. And sometimes I got the better end of the bargaining, and sometimes he did, but it was all okay. It was all good. There were always two topics that we agreed on, politics and religion. Go figure that one.
Yeah, I didn't figure that.
That is crazy.
Over the years, we had some great conversations about both of those topics. When I needed more information about a political candidate or issues at hand, referendums, whatever, he was my go-to person because he was always so on top of those things. And I just have to say that...
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I just have to say that as we've been moving books and books, first of all, Bruce loved books. He
Yeah.
consumed books. And
He remembered them.
he remembered, and I just didn't remember how many he kept, because as we've been moving the books out, he's had a lot of them. And now Doug has his 5 bookcases, and Doug's had books all over the floor, and so I've been trying to help him put those books back on those bookcases, and we are well into 1.5 cases full of books pertaining to what's happening in our country right now. And I know he read all of those books. And I just have to say that I think Spokane is losing its most knowledgeable patriot. And as I've been reflecting on that, putting these books away, I've been thinking about the Star Spangled Banner. That's how my mind works, it's all over the place. But anyway, I have been thinking about Francis Scott Key when he went on board that British ship and he was trying to negotiate for the patriots down below who were captives. And he did a good job in negotiating. He got them off, but the British said that that's not going to matter anyway because we're going to bombard you early in the morning and we're going to wipe out Fort Hood and we're going to take down that flag. And so Francis Scott Key went out on deck and he was looking that morning as they were bombarding and that flag still was standing even though it was getting tattered and torn. And afterwards he went to Fort Hood to find out how that flag was still standing. And it was the Patriot Fathers who were going in. One would be taking back down, the other one would be holding the flag. And I think Bruce kind of did that. And I think that he would tell you guys, his friends, to continue what you're doing, continue being patriots, and not that we stand, as Christians, we stand for hope, and that we don't take a knee to tyranny. So, anyway. While we were dating, and later after we were married, we had some wonderful discussions about our faith. And both of us just said, how awesome is it going to be when we get to meet our Lord Christ Jesus face to face. And while this last month there's been tears and pain associated with it, Bruce doesn't know, but he gave me the great gift when he was in his late 20s or early 30s of accepting Jesus as his Lord and Savior, because I know I have that gift of peace from him, knowing that he is with his Lord and Savior. He's where he wanted to be. And in conclusion, the Gaithers, they're a Christian musical group, if you don't know them.
Yes.
But anyway, they have a song that I love, and it would sum up what I would say to him if I could. It says, when you finally make your entrance to that city of jasper walls and bright golden avenues, I realize when you arrive, there'll be so much to view. After you've been there 10,000 years, a million, maybe 2, look for me, for I will be there too. Bruce, look for me, for I will be there too. I couldn't have done this before you guys, because I would have. Thank you
That was
for letting
great.
me go first.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, who wants to go next?
Emily's been
Our
wanting-
British chick needs to go next, right?
Emily's been saying she needs to leave, so she has to be next.
I just want to say, Pam, you're like the best ex-wife.
She was there for 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna make me have to find you, right?
You could see if that.
Okay.
You know, co-parent, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put me in a
that's a
hard
close-up.
spot right next to that window, you know. Well, I had to get the light.
It's got nothing in if you like.
Well, I like.
Go to the center of the
You
fireplace.
work over here if you don't want to be in the center. There's a
Oh, that's why it was there.
Okay.
Light.
Yeah. Yeah, that window makes it very difficult to be able to get the light right. Oh, where are you now? Okay, there you are. I got the knees. I got the. All right.
You know how it is with these cinematographers.
No.
You know.
Okay, you're great. And we're rolling.
This is Emily.
Okay. So I met Bruce about 18 months ago, and the short backstory is that I was having to exchange my kids. I'd fled an abusive marriage. I was living in Spokane, and the ex was living in Wenatchee. That's me. You put two and two together now. So the one day I went to drop off the kids and I was alone, and while nobody could see me, he started slamming my head into the car, and I came back with a fat black eye. And after that I wasn't so keen to go alone, so friends that I was staying with said, we know somebody who might want to go with you. So I pitched up to this guy's house one day and I'm like, I don't know who you are, but apparently you're coming with me. And out rolls this old boy who's like, yeah. And he sits in my car and he packs his hip and he's like, I'm ready. I'm ready.
That's right.
That wagon Bruce.
Okay. He's sitting there looking very proud of himself. And we drive on down to Ritzville, exchange the kids. He tells me a lot of stories on the way there and on the way back. I'm pretty sure the first 4 or 5 trips I didn't say a word. I'm like, I'm getting to know this guy. Okay, he's cool. And over time, over the months, he kept inviting me to different things. And because I usually have my kids, a lot of it didn't really work out. I did get to come to his birthday last year, and that was, earlier this year. That was fun. That was fun. And anyway, so he was usually really well behaved, mostly well behaved. And on occasions I would get in the car and I was clearly in a foul mood, and he'd look at me and I was like, "What's up, Em? What's up?" I can still hear his voice now, and I was like, "That stupid man. He's done this and he's done this." And Bruce would never engage. He would never be like, "Oh yeah, he's an idiot. Oh yeah, cool." You know, he would never say anything like that. He was really good about that, and it kind of made me realize, like, actually I need to not talk that way. So it did help me to not like throw myself into it entirely. Until the one day, I told him what had been happening in court, and we get to this location. We get to the park where we usually were doing our drop-offs in Ritzville, and the one day he's like, "Let's hope he makes a slip up." I remember him getting. He said I brought a special friend this time. And he gets out, and it was a really foggy day, and he's like, "This is perfect." And he goes and runs and hides behind a tree. And he's like, I see him. He keeps popping his head out like this. He's like looking, and eventually the ex turns up, and he does his thing. And he was particularly well behaved that day, which was really frustrating. Because normally he would like get something and throw it, or start yelling, or something. And this day, like, he did nothing. And at the end of it, Bruce comes back and he was really disappointed. He's like, "I was really hoping to put a cap in his ass. I'm so disappointed." I was hoping so too, Bruce, but shucks, maybe next time. I know, I'm like, words I don't usually hear come out of his mouth. But anyway, so yeah, that was my experience with Bruce. He was a good guy. He was always there, and he would send me a lot of stuff to read through. He was always buying my kids books and junk food, knowing that I don't read that to my kids. But he was great. He would engage them in the conversations. I've got a really sweet picture, actually, of the first time my then 3-year-old met him, and he just ran up to him and sat on his lap, and he was all up in there, and it was so sweet. And he doesn't usually do that, so I was like, I gotta get a picture of this. But yeah, I definitely miss him and his stories, and he was one of the good guys.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, definitely one of the
Thank you
good
for
guys.
sharing that
Yeah.
story.
yeah.
You should know
Since you gotta go, I think we, just to cue it up, I think we should get Jacqueline over here, because you're together, aren't you?
Yes.
Come on, Jackie.
you should know Emily too. Every
No.
week he got to ride with you. He'd talk about how much he enjoyed talking to you
yes.
that week.
Yeah.
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 You can talk about what your kids meant to Bruce.
Actually, I don't know if we can do that.
Oh, yeah.
Come on over here. Come on over here.
Do not be a DQ. Get over here.
I don't want to do this.
Get over here.
Come on. We got a room full of friends here.
Talk to the thermostat.
Right here.
Or like the wall.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I met Bruce about 5 years ago at some political event. And I bought the man ice cream, and that's all it took to get to his heart.
Yeah.
And then he found out I had 8 kids, and we bred puppies, and that was it. And yeah, kids, puppies,
Kids
and
and
ice cream.
puppies.
Oh, yeah.
And we were best friends. I mean, I know a lot of you guys were, but we talked almost every day. And we sold our house, and we were this house from Ed Pace on University and 31st, and he would just show up randomly. And the kids, oh my gosh, my kids loved him so much, and he would drink beer in the driveway. And one night he showed up, and we spent probably 2 hours going back and forth telling jokes. And just his laugh and his stories and the engagement of the kids, and the memories that we have with him. And I'll always be thankful that we had him a part of our lives.
Amen.
So,
Don't let the memories die.
Nope.
oh, everywhere we look at our new house, it's memories of Bruce. So, I'm just super thankful that we had him part of our lives. And when he was in the hospital, he put me down as his daughter. So I'd call him up and be like, "How you doing today, Dad?" But he really was like a second dad to me and a grandpa to my kids, and he was just always around. And it's definitely going to be hard to fill that void with him gone. So,
You can't fill it.
so anyway, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guillotine is being pulled up.
You want to say
Who's
anything
next?
now, Doug, or not?
Well,
Well, I will say something
Yeah.
because I got bestowed an honor. And you know, I've known Bruce for probably 10, 12 years.
Okay, since 2009.
And I enjoy Bruce. I mean, hey, when we needed to split wood and stack wood, it was sort of like Bruce and I fought over who was going to split because it was easier than stacking it, you know, rolling those wheelbarrows around. And I didn't really realize how much Bruce really hurt. You know, he had a lot of pain, and you very, very seldom heard from him. You know, that his knees were hurting, or his back was hurting, or this was hurting, or that. He never mentioned it. And so, you know, we were talking about getting the wood this year, and John says, "Yeah, I need to call Bruce." Well, we don't have Bruce. You know, it's pretty sad. It's a void. And we've had a lot of good times. We've had a lot of memories. We've had great times with fireworks and gun shooting and jokes. And I'm just going, what in the world are we going to do for St. Patrick's Day party?
Yeah.
We had Joe Collins and Bruce Thompson. Joe was Irish and Bruce was Scottish.
Didn't Bruce
And the only thing that I ask people to bring to that party is a good joke. That's it, you know. It's way, I got to tell you guys, it's way easier to just do it all yourself than to depend on others bringing stuff, right? And so bring a joke. And we always had this sort of almost competition between Joe and Bruce with the jokes, and they got good. I mean, they were really fun. And I'm going, what in the world are we going to do now? I don't have Bruce and I don't have Joe. And I mean, maybe we shouldn't have St. Patrick's Day parties anymore. I don't know.
Well, then I get to drink it, Scott.
Yeah, no, the bottle of booze is still here because they keep contributing it back again. But anyway, I was talking to Bruce on Tuesday, the Tuesday before he actually went on his last journey. And I was trying to talk some sense into him, and there was another person in the room. And apparently it was a medical person, and she says, "May I talk to her?" And Bruce said, "Sure." She says, "Well, is she family?" And he says, yeah, she's my surrogate mom. So I am officially Bruce's surrogate mom, and you're all gonna have to behave.
Yeah.
And I go, wow, initially I'm going, huh? But no, I'm gonna wear that title, and I'm going to be very proud of it. And I just go, wow, I think we've all been so blessed for having him in our lives, and we all have such different experiences of him, and know him in different ways, and it's pretty incredible. In helping with the garage a couple weekends ago, I came across a piece of needlepoint. And I said, my gosh, does he do needlepoint too? And I think it was John Christine. He says, yeah, he's a real Renaissance man. And I think, yes, he was. So we have been blessed, and we need to hold that memory very, very dear and not forget him. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I'd like to go if I could.
Yeah.
Just, Cecily wouldn't have been surrogate mom, but maybe surrogate babysitter. Quite that old. But Bruce, I met him during the Ron Paul thing in 2007 and 2008, and he was someone you could count on. And a lot of us have stayed friends from that. That brought us together. Before that, like I've said, I don't think I had any friends, and then certainly had too many friends. But Bruce wasn't one of those one too many people. He was, it seemed like, especially being in this setting here, he's almost like a piece of the furniture. If he wasn't here, he was on the phone with one of you guys, and so you could always count on him. And the good times we had here, the parties, or there'd be little knots of people having conversations. I could be halfway down the deck from Bruce, and have to go up, Bruce, keep it down a couple notches. I can't hear the people in my group, way up there, because he would remark, remark on me. And he'd always say, I don't know if I could do a good Bruce imitation, and that's just it. If someone said something meaningful or prolific, and his voice had that certain intimacy, so that when I would go to Olympia, I always think of him because when you go to the street walk thing, there's a voice that says wait or walk, but it sounds just like Bruce, you say wait, like for a walk, like that. So once we were coming back from Vancouver, I think you were driving Clark Hager back, but John Christina and Bruce and I were together, and maybe one other person was with us, and then we're going on the west side of the Columbia River, and there's Beacon Rock up there, not too far outside of Vancouver, and you can see it in a lot of movies. But I'd climbed it the year before. Well, some guy who, in the 1920s, who had a lot of time on his hands, blasted a path all the way circular around that. It's like higher than the Space Needle. So we got out and we walked all the way up it to the top, and that was pretty adventurous for us older middle-aged guys to do that. And Bruce was game for it, though. He walked all the way to the top, and it looked so beautiful, touching the sky, from below, and then you get to the top, and it looks so beautiful, the Columbia River valleys, So those are kind of like, we live in shadowlands, kind of. We see the glory of God, but we kind of see heaven on earth sometimes, but just a glimpse of it, So when we were below looking up at Beacon Rock, it was, should we climb this or not? Let's do it. And then looking down, you can see the beauty, but you get closer to things, and it kind of loses that effect, here on earth too. But, like I said, we live on shadowlands. We only see a shadow of what's prepared for us, and like Pam said, and I hadn't heard that about Bruce before. That's good things. I know we'll see him again, so it doesn't take very much longer. The sands are coming down, for some of us in an hourglass a lot quicker, so we don't really have that long to wait, to see Bruce again. So I really look forward to that day, and that's just the way it is, So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
Get the snotty cough here. Boy, talk that way.
Can I go?
Well, who's next?
I have two funny stories. Oh,
Abby.
okay. Hi. My name is Oliver.
Oh, you gotta sit down?
No.
Or you gotta
I don't
stand
know.
up? Well, I'm going up to catch up to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Here, go.
Hi. I'm nervous. My name is Oliver. I didn't get to tell him that, so now I could tell you guys instead. Me and him, I've known him my whole life. I'm the grandkid.
Sorry. We got along most of the time. There was some days when I argued with him, but it was fine. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
We love you.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Thanks.
Okay, sweetie, take your time.
So we would go swimming every summer when I came over here, because I lived with my mom and little brother. But yeah, that was like our tradition to go to like public pools and just swim for fun. And like sometimes he'd take me to like rivers, or other events. And we actually came here for like 4th of July and like little parties. I thought they were boring.
Right. They were a bunch of old people.
Yeah, I was the only child here, and so I thought it was extremely boring.
I know how that is.
I appreciated being invited, and I liked eating the desserts.
How well we know. That's why the rest of us come.
Yeah. But other than that, I just kind of sat to the side and didn't know what to talk about. He was very social, and I didn't know how he did that because I don't like talking to people that much. I'm kind of to myself, I guess, but
Well, you're doing good now.
yeah.
You really are.
But yeah, he was extremely social and nice. I'm not exactly sure what to say now. I mean, I loved him a lot. We had a lot of fun, and I always said that I never wanted to eat anything from his kitchen.
Wait, we've been eating it.
He burns one hamburger.
No, his kitchen was
no worse than mine.
terrible. I didn't like going in the kitchen or like being near it. So we'd always get like fast food or something when we spend the night because I didn't want to eat anything there.
Tell us more.
Yeah. His house was messy. And so like when we would watch movies every Wednesday, in like this back room, and it was cluttered. And we'd have like 2 chairs, and he'd be in the front, and his computer was all broken and glitchy. But he always found out a way to kind of entertain me. And he has a cat. He had a cat.
That cat.
Yeah, the cat was nice most of the time. The cat was definitely switchy with her personalities, but she kind of warmed up to me after I was like 10. But yeah, I'm not that religious. I just,
Was that the stray cat?
I believe there's something out there that created everything, but I'm not sure. But
Favorite memory?
I don't know which one.
Yeah.
He was a great grandpa.
He was the first one too that would say when
Yeah.
is Abby coming back up.
Yeah, he was the
All the
first
time,
person
yes.
to ask when I was gonna come back, and I really appreciated that.
But I know when we'd have parties here, he'd say, because I have a granddaughter. who's
Yeah.
12, and I always say, is Addison going to be here? And Addison didn't like my parties because they were all old people. You know?
Yeah.
She was smart enough not to come.
I had to come, I was required.
Right. But you and Doug did good at getting the walk.
Yeah.
I appreciate your honesty.
So you did very well.
job.
And we hope you'll come to our boring parties again, even though they're boring.
There's just
just gonna get worse, don't worry.
We're only gonna get older, not younger.
Yeah. Who's next? Steve?
Do it.
No, Diane had more,
Oh.
she was.
Okay.
Okay. This is the hot seat.
Are you gonna sit?
No, I'll stand.
Oh, you are?
So, I have two funny stories that kind of came to mind. So, I was never like tight friends with Bruce, but he was always a fixture. And just always around, so I've known him for years. And in 2011, my former husband was up for election for a public office, and it was a crushing defeat. And we had a big party planned, and there was this huge wine bar, and there were all these bottles of wine that were like, the foil was taken off, but they weren't corked yet, but they were now, like, we owned them. And so all of us were kind of getting over the shock of how the election had not gone our way. And I walked by the wine bar, and Bruce had on that green army coat that he always wore. And he literally was taking those wine bottles, and he had them. He had sorry, Diane, and he just like walks out like this, and she's like,
True wine.
it's just so classic, wasn't it? He probably drank that stuff for months. Anyway, and then this last summer we were putting some furniture in the back of his truck to outfit Rob's new office, and there was a file cabinet that I had that was going there, and I had like wrestled it out of where it was and had it on a dolly, and I had taken the drawers out because I couldn't move it myself, and I was trying to get it as close as I could to the driveway, and then the drawers were back in my garage, and he came over, and his truck was just a disaster, and I was like, oh, it'll fit, he says. So he kind of puts down the tailgate, and then I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna take, I'm like looking at the truck thinking, we're gonna put this file cabinet in this dirty truck, and then I'm thinking, I've got to help Bruce, put this thing in the truck, and I turned around, and he's like carrying this file cabinet with all the drawers in it, just walking out of the truck with this 700-pound file cabinet, just, it'll be fine, he just kind of throws it in there. Don't we have to put straps on it? Oh, no, it'll be fine.
Did you get it?
So anyway, oh yeah, it made it there. Must have made it there. Anyway, he was just a great guy, and I'm sorry I didn't know him better. And I'm glad you guys, I'm here to share all these memories. Cause
You tell us about shooting on the porch.
Yeah, they're shooting on the porch, and you.
Last summer. So yeah, that was one of the parties here this summer, and I was like, oh, Bruce is kind of cool. He's got this long-range rifle, and we were shooting at some sort of bowling pins way down there. And so
It was Inslee.
Yeah. And so I said, well, okay, I'll do that. So he goes, you gotta lay down. I'm like, I'm wearing white pants. That's okay. And so I lay down on the porch, and I was all aiming and trying to show off and everything. And Judy walked out from the garage, like right in front of me. And I was just like, I almost just shot Judy in the face. And we've got this whole series of pictures because and Bruce is laughing and I'm laughing.
And she's rolling all over the place.
Yeah.
Anyway,
They're
he's a
in that
great guy. Yeah,
presentation.
I know. He's a great guy, and he'll be missed. And the only consolation is we'll see him again.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and we have to carry on,
Yeah.
like you said.
We have to win.
We have jobs to do until we're here. We have breath in our heart, in our lungs one more day because we have a purpose, and his was done. So we got to keep going. So anyway, love you guys. Love you, Bruce.
Love you.
And I do want you guys to know that Larry and Leslie Haskell texted that they couldn't be here. And they put in my heart, some of the things they said. And they said that Bruce was a true patriot. And so I got the flags out because Bruce was a true patriot.
Yeah.
And Judy, you've got a funny story about pouring vodka.
I forgot it.
Get up here.
Remind me, I was gonna.
Bruce was pouring his drink. Remember, he always drank beer. Until you
I
were
need something to stand on.
Are you gonna stand up? Are you gonna stand up?
I want
Yeah.
to be taller if I sit
She's
down.
taller, she stands.
Yeah, but stand up. Go, stand up, Judy.
Here's a whole bouquet, John.
Are they doing well?
Yeah, I'll adjust my glasses. One of my great-grandkids did that, only it means something else now when you do it. Do you know what that is?
Mm-mm.
Do you know what it means instead of doing the finger?
That's for anime.
That's for what?
That's from an anime.
Okay, but they said meant something else and I forgot it. Do you remember?
No.
Okay.
Remember giving me the
You're not the
program.
grandkid
No.
or the great-grandkid. Okay, so the
My
vodka.
great-grandkid.
We had a
Great,
summer
great.
party.
Yes, but I don't remember the story, Cecily. That's what I
Yes, you were out there and you were just laughing your head off. Because Bruce
Not my
was,
butt off.
because Bruce was going there.
You want to tell a story?
So Bruce was
Come
going
up here, we'll do it
Bruce was
together.
going to pour himself a drink.
Okay.
And you're talking to him.
No, I wouldn't
Yes.
talk to Bruce.
And so Bruce says, pour in the drink.
Okay.
Who's on
But he's
first?
talking to you.
Oh.
And he
Got
kept
a both.
pouring and pouring and pouring.
Oh, yes.
And then you finally stopped him
Oh, I do
because it
remember.
was overflowing with vodka. Don't you remember that?
No,
God, it
I
was
was
so
probably
funny.
drunk.
He was making her drink.
I never drink more than 2 drinks, but it only takes one to make that one.
And it was like, now what are we gonna do with all this vodka that he's poured into the glass? You know, what are you gonna mix it with? It was just funny
Oh,
because
God.
Bruce almost always drank beer, and so he decided to.
Pouring vodka drink.
You told me that story. I wasn't out
I
there.
don't remember.
Oh, that is so
It's my
funny.
COVID brain.
Yeah.
Must be.
I have no taste buds or smell.
And no
What's your
brain.
name?
No
Surrogate.
Okay, surrogate. Surrogate.
So,
Okay.
yeah. Tell us about
That was
Bruce.
a wash.
Oh my gosh. To me, when Bruce gave me a hug, it was like the world wrapping his arms around me. You know, just a tad bit bigger than me. I've lost 66 pounds, so we used to be more the same size. But as I got smaller, felt a lot bigger. But it felt literally like when he hugged you, it was the whole world hugging you. And I'll always, always remember his hugs. They were wonderful. But Bruce, when I think of Bruce, I think of guns. Guns and guns and more guns. And my husband loves guns, so they talk guns. Well, most of you guys in here do like guns. I won't tell anybody.
Yeah, when you're
But
not being
there's so many
recorded at all.
guns. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's gonna be on Crim tonight?
No.
Darn, and I did my hair
No,
and
but
makeup.
the sheriff wants a copy.
Oh, well. He's
Well,
your
here,
best buddy.
here.
Not a
Ozzy.
chance.
Ozzy.
Here.
Okay, so back to Bruce. So I think one of the funniest things was when Diane was telling the story about Bruce and the gun, but she left out a few things. Critical. And I didn't get pictures of them because I was laughing so hard. But when she was rolling over, she almost rolled over to the porch and Bruce grabbed her, but he didn't grab her in a very nice place because it was in a hurry. And laying on her side when he grabbed her, she literally leaped. So can you guess where he grabbed her? Okay. So you know she doesn't mention that, but I do. I mean, that wasn't very long ago, so I remember that.
That's right.
But
Before the vodka.
I know that the people in this room are just a small number of the people Bruce loved. I mean, there's many faces that we know that love Bruce that aren't able to make it. And he was a guy that nobody ever disliked. And that is a true blessing. If you can have that in your life, it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Remember that.
Okay. How about some other Ron Paul? Here we go. You talking? You're up?
Either way.
Okay.
Does it matter if I sit?
No, if you want to sit, you can.
I'll just stand.
Okay, great.
Yeah, well, Diane, the wine, that was Bruce. Like anything free, he was all over that. All over
The
that.
wine.
Yeah, whatever it was, it just happened to be wine. But and Abby, by the way,
Oliver.
oh sorry, yeah, sorry, Oliver.
It's okay.
It's new. It wasn't just that he would like ask about you and when you were coming back and all that kind of thing. He was always telling us about when you were coming back, and he was really excited about it. He was always really excited about you, coming back up here. But so I met Bruce. It was at the 2008 Republican State Convention, and we were.
That's in Spokane.
Yeah, in Spokane. I happened to be in Spokane that year.
Yeah.
And Liz and I were both delegates, and so Bruce we just happened to sit down next to Bruce, and Bruce was sitting in one, I think, well, sitting off on one side, and then Liz happened to wind up in the middle, and then I was sitting on the other side, and Bruce and I just got going to the point where Liz literally just got up and moved over.
You would do that.
So we basically switched seats, but I mean that was just Bruce. Like I can't tell you how many times I have been told to shut up when I was engaged in conversation with Bruce. That's not something anybody ever says to me. Like I don't.
We say
run
it to
off.
Bruce often.
Oh yeah, sure. I've said it to Bruce too, but I don't like run off at the mouth.
Yeah.
But we would just, I mean, there was
Engaged.
something about Bruce, just very simpatico, and I've really never met anyone else who just got my view of the world the way that it is. Like he'd read
Well, it's very difficult.
he'd read all the same books that I had,
Yeah.
and would remember a lot of the same things, so that somebody would say something and I would mention something from a book, or he would mention something from a book, and then we were off on some other thing, and it was just like that all the time. And it's very rare for me to have an experience like that with someone. And Bruce was really one of my closest friends.
You guys did a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, fixing the junkers and going to pull and save.
Yeah, we went to pull and save.
Nobody was cheaper
many
than
times,
Bruce, except for you.
Yeah, off and on. I even one time we went out to pull and save to help Liz pull I think it was a hitch off of a Subaru.
Yeah, and he ran out of pocket space, so I'm like sticking fuses and stuff in my pocket.
Oh yeah, he would always grab all kinds of little odds and ends, fuses and bolts.
I think we threw them all away.
But that was Bruce. He loved his free stuff for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Thank you.
Good memory.
Real Scotsman.
I guess that's the way you would describe it. Yes.
Yeah. Zimmerman, are you going to get in this?
He's writing a book. I was looking for some of my Bruceisms.
Don't forget it. What's in your head and your heart?
If you just let go, they'll show up.
I know.
Okay, come on over here.
They're actually too perfect that only Bruce gets.
Well,
it right.
honestly, I think Craig should tell us a little bit about Bruce, because he knows Bruce so differently than many of us. Because you were wrench buddies more.
Yeah.
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 And so I know it's hard for you to get over there, but you're going to do it for Bruce.
Oh yeah. Now, stands is easier to get up.
Okay. All right.
Well, I met Bruce. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I met Bruce with John out at the Greyhound Park, and that was back in 2008 during the Ron Paul
With John who?
thing.
Zimmerman.
John Zimmerman.
Yeah.
And because I've seen them together several times before that. I mean, if you saw one, you saw the other. And that particular time was a John Birch meeting, and John McManus was a guest speaker. And the other guest speaker was the sheriff.
Mac,
yeah. And it was really interesting. I had a lot of booths. The whole back of that place was all booths from just anybody and everybody, and they all knew Bruce. But that's where I met Bruce, and anyways, I was talking to somebody. There's maybe 2 or 3 other people I was talking to. I remember Bruce and John, but I don't remember who I was talking to. And but the thing about Bruce that just got me the most was how well grounded he was, and not only that, but how well rounded. He could talk just about any subject, and he was one of the few people I know that actually made money off the internet. I mean, selling bicycle parts and guns, and eventually Subaru parts and stuff. And
I like the bicycle things that he did.
Yeah,
That was pretty
I
cool.
think that was his.
I think he bought more than he sold, though.
Could be. But,
He rescued more than he sold.
yeah, we used to go out for coffee during the Ron Paul meetup groups and stuff. There'd be like Laura and me and John and Doug.
The first time we went out for coffee, Doug was with us, but every time we went out for coffee after that with Bruce, Doug would be with him. And I kind of miss those days. Just, you got so much in common, then you go out for coffee, and you just relax and just talk, and it's not all the same subject. Usually it was around politics, but quite often you got off onto the other things. And
Guns.
yeah. And the last time I saw Bruce was he came out to my place with Doug, and John was out there. He had a RV that he bought and was working on it out there, and I think Bruce had some stuff for him or something. But anyways, that was a fun afternoon.
He helped me drive my truck while I was driving the RV to your place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we went out to the Longhorn.
Yep.
After that, and we ate until we passed out, pretty much. But that's the last time I got to see Bruce. But I really miss those days. We'd go out for coffee and stuff after the meetings. But that's about all.
Thank you.
I got, so thank you.
Well, you were a special friend.
Try to be.
Two-fist the drink or?
Yeah.
Over here. Elton.
Follow my footsteps.
You didn't see. Thank you. Ask your friends one.
That looks like Zimmerman.
Oh, God forbid.
Yeah, I resemble that.
We'll put this one on Facebook, John.
No,
Please,
No.
please. Don't tag me,
this
bro.
is private stuff.
So, I met Bruce, like a lot of y'all, back in the political days, the Ron Paul meetup days. And one of the things that attracted me to Bruce was he had this great attitude about life. He was always joking, master. I was telling Pam and Doug that there's nobody who had better colloquialisms than Bruce. And I was looking for, I was trying to bring up some of them because it was very, very colorful. I mean, he was really, really funny stuff that you just couldn't hear anywhere else. I call them Bruceisms, and I just wish I had some examples for you. Unfortunately, I don't. But we got into bicycles and started taking some rides together. First off, 2008 probably, 7 or 8, and the guy was really into his bicycles. I would say some of his great loves in life were, he's a gun nut, and he was a total bike freak, and of course...
He liked to sweat.
Yeah, he's actually in some pretty good shape 14 years ago.
Yeah.
He had a competitive side, which I found out. I hadn't been on a bike for 15 years or something, and he said, oh yeah, let's go out. I got this great long ride, or it'd only be 10-15 minutes. It turned out to be like, I don't know, a couple of hours. We're out by,
You couldn't walk for 2 days?
something, Hangman's golf course or something, I don't know, way out there, up in the hills, and he was all into the Tour de France, and he would buy special viewing rights to the Tour de France on, kind of like the NFL Sunday football package or something.
Yeah.
He would write by the Tour de France once
Everybody wants that, right?
4 years or something. And then of course he was kind of competitive, which I found out because on our first ride, he tried to burn me at the end, okay? Which means he leaves you in the dust.
Yeah.
And, I thought I did pretty good for having not been on a bike for 15 years, and I just, didn't have it like I had in the past. And he was in pretty good shape, and, so I hung with him pretty good, and I think he kind of respected that a little bit. But he had so many nice bikes, stuff from the 70s, and, he had a thing for a lot of the British bikes and
Handmade bikes.
handmade stuff, right? Really expensive stuff, and he had a lot of it. And somebody, you were talking about his room and his kitchen. Like, we did some movie nights, and I said, Bruce, what's with the army chairs, the fold-up army chairs, like that? I'm gonna go find one of these free couches on the side of the, It's been rained on for 2 months, and I'm gonna bring it home to you, and we're gonna make some room, and we're gonna have like a real couch, and we're gonna have movie nights
We're gonna have a real
the right
movie.
way.
Hang those boats up on the wall and
And
come on
he
the
had,
floor.
yeah, look right next to the bikes. And he had terabytes of, great old movies that he collected from somewhere, I don't know, But I just really loved his attitude and his sense of humor, and I'm really gonna miss him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jeff?
Cindy?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Mine's gonna be really short. Okay, time's up.
I gotta find you first, because you're really short. Okay, there you go. All right, there you are.
I like being short.
I do too.
Good
We
thing
traded
some
for the
small
world.
I resemble that.
packages.
Okay, so for me, I don't remember meeting Bruce. He just appeared in my life. He was just there in the chair. Bruce was always, if I think of him, he was just a nice guy. And he always had a sense of peace about him. But my favorite things were when Dominic was out of town, and John and Cecily would invite me up for dinner, and then they'd say, Bruce is coming, is that okay? Sure, I can wear my pajamas. It was like, it didn't matter what I wore. I mean, I could wear my sweats or my pajamas and not care, because it was just us. It was family. And so that's really my story. I think Bruce's sense of humor was amazing. I wish I could have that sense of humor. My favorite thing is on the table. And this is cool. Show everyone.
Oh.
It's a silly thing we found when we were cleaning his place, and it was in the window, I believe, right?
Oh.
Window? On the bookcase.
I gave that to him.
Move over this way.
Okay.
There you go.
And it's a cartridge in a bare tree. And to me, that. And now we know everything. Julian made that.
I didn't make it, somebody else gave it to me.
But it is so Bruce.
Yeah,
It
it
is.
is so Bruce.
So anyway, I'm keeping this on
Don't
my
break it, it's still
bookshelf.
growing.
So anyway, Bruce was, to me, a peaceful person with a loving heart. And I am truly going to miss him.
Amen.
I have something really quick to say. I wasn't going to talk, but I have to follow up those last couple of stories because the bike thing that you were talking about. So I had no idea that he was like a bike nut, or I wouldn't have done what I did last summer. Because John had a bike,
Oh, yeah.
his electric bike, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I've always wanted an electric bike." So Bruce kept telling me, "Oh, you can totally ride that bike. No, you can. Oh, you can totally ride." And I'm like, "Oh no, I'm not going to ride that bike now because it was summer and I had a little sundress on and sandals and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going. I'm not really dressed appropriately for that. Oh no, it's actually really easy. I can help you do it." And
he did, didn't he help you get up on the bike?
So I had no idea what I was getting into, and before I know it, and I'm getting on this. I'm a nurse. I know safety, and I'm getting on this. I'm barefoot, and I'm thinking. I keep telling Bruce, who is ex-military, I'm thinking he's safety. And I keep telling him, I don't think this doesn't look safe. And he's like, you're totally fine.
It's only a gravel road.
It's okay.
And a dress and
It's
no
okay.
shoes.
And of course, John Charleston wasn't very much help either. He's telling me this is going to be great. Before I know it, I'm going probably. At first, it was hard to get my. It was hard. I was kind of scared actually. But Bruce was just like, so no, you can totally. It's so. You hold on to that. I got you. I've got you. You're good. And then all of a sudden I noticed like I'm riding down sands and I feel like I'm going like probably 20 miles an hour and all of a sudden I think to myself, holy crap, I have no shoes on. I have no...
And a dress.
Yeah, and so I actually got myself turned around and came back, but I thought, oh my God, how did I let him talk me into that? It's ridiculous. But the other thing is that we met, my husband and I met Bruce in, I don't remember if it was 2009 or 10, but it was at John Beale.
Constitution
John
class.
Beale Constitutional class.
Oh, wow.
And I remember when we first saw him, my first impression of him was, I was thinking, God, is that all he has is sweats?
I tell ya.
And I just would look at him and think, but when we got to know him, I remember when I realized how much I cared for Bruce it was last Thanksgiving. And he was late. And we weren't sure if he was going to make it. And I remember thinking to myself, I can't imagine this without him.
Oh, that's our house.
And when we were kind of watching, doing the whole death watch thing and stuff, I remember my husband and I just kept saying, it's not going to be the same. And my father-in-law, who passed this year too, used to have a saying, and he used to say all the time, when somebody would die that was really special, he would say, that's not who I would have picked. And although I know he's in a better place, that's what I want to say, is that's not who I would have picked. So.
Who's next?
I wish we could find a picture of Bruce looking at Steve Shannon playing, because if you could find one of those that we could do.
Find what?
Bruce and Steve.
I know, but
Those are incredible.
Well, I could show it to them without having, on a computer, but not in that presentation.
Yeah.
Bruce and Stu show?
Yeah. Whoa, Jeff, you're way up there.
Oh, wow, that was my height, wasn't it?
Yeah, no. It was. Hi, Jeff.
Hi. I also have no clue when it was I met Bruce, really. There's so many different little things that it's hard to put them in an order, but Bruce and I went up to Marble. He rode in my truck with me, and we shared a tent up there, and had a good time talking, and enjoyed the weekend, and that was a lot of fun. And things I'm gonna miss every time I hear a car horn going by. Every time he went over to see Doug, he'd come by, I'd hear dun, 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 the little Subaru horn tapping 3 times, and I'd get on the phone and go, "Hey, honky," one thing that, I didn't get much in the way of practical jokes from Bruce, but I was up here for, must have been 4th of July or something, a couple of years ago.
Whatever.
And I left, usual way after dark, drove all the way home. Next morning I get up to go to my truck, and there's this Roman candle stuck under the windshield wiper of my truck. It wasn't burned or anything, it was just the whole thing with the fuse and all. And the first word that came to my mind was Bruce.
Right.
And so I still have that. I'm gonna have to launch that sometime.
Bruce loved fireworks.
Yeah.
He really did.
We spent some time working on his Subarus, and he had a couple of issues that. Anyway, it was, he was definitely an interesting guy. Oh, that's one thing I wanted to do.
You get a call?
Yeah, Bruce. Didn't expect that. When Bruce was in the hospital, this was on the Thursday before he passed away. We were talking about, whether I should go over and see him, and I said, well, my Toyota, it hasn't had new tabs for 2 years, and
I know what he went through when he had an expired tab on his Subaru, and the DHS police officer just about wanted to throw him in prison. So we had a little conversation about that, and then I told him there's lots of prayers going out for you, and that I hope you feel it. And he says, I do. I wish I could do it in his voice. But he said, the prayers of a righteous man availeth much. That was the last thing he said to me.
Oh.
Thank you.
So, I got to visit him, Bruce, when I got back into town that night. I had told him I was coming in from Sacramento. So we got to sit down and visit Doug, and was there for a while. And I think I was there for about an hour and 45 minutes or so. We talked about everything. He's been helping me build the rifle for my son because he made Navy Chief. And I'm taking it down here in a couple of weeks to him. And of course we didn't get to finish it up. But we got to talking about all the different things, and he talked about his personal life, things that he had wanted to talk about. But near the end, it was, I said, well, has anybody prayed with you yet? He goes, no. Anyway, I said, well, you want to pray? So we opened up the prayer, and we reaffirmed our acceptance of Jesus as Savior, and we pled the blood of Jesus for our sins. So what I'm really wanting to say, when Bruce was facing judgment in front of God, he was able to pull out that Jesus card and say, I get in free now.
Yep.
That's it.
What sin did I sin?
Steve, I expect to hear from you.
Really?
Okay, I'm not like I expect you to. I know you shared so many good times.
I don't have much to add.
Well, you got the Ron Paul era.
Well, I think
I don't have a lot of that.
what you added to Bruce's life
Yeah.
was your music,
Yeah.
and that was pretty special.
He liked to go.
He did like the music, I
Yeah.
guess. I could say a little bit.
Okay, come on in.
Yeah, I like many of you, I don't remember exactly when I met Bruce either. I think it was at the beginning of the Ron Paul campaign that I first met Bruce, and you know, we would see each other at events and at political gatherings quite a bit, and we went shooting a couple of times, and I was impressed with what a collection he had, and he had this kind of suit that you could wear, and you could actually hold the rifle steady enough to hit something far away when you were on the ground.
Many jokes about that suit.
He let me try it out, and I could not believe how my aim improved when I put that thing on. Anyway, I think that
leather and straps and buckles.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, leather straps and buckles. It's a shooting jacket.
Sounds like a torture.
It looks lay on the ground with it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's kind of confining. You can't really do anything except aim really well. But anyway, that was. I remember. So I think the last time I saw him was probably last year. I had a party at my house.
Yeah.
And several of you were there.
I'll remember.
And I haven't done it since then. And that was the last time I saw him. And that's the last time I saw several people, including Lowell. And I had a good friend from high school that was there that I hadn't seen in a long time. He passed away this year too. So anyway, he was a great guy. I really liked him a lot. I wish I would have spent more time getting to know him and doing more things with him. I was very impressed with his bicycle collection.
Yeah.
I never saw so many bicycles in one person's
Living room.
in my life.
Should see the garage.
The basement.
Anyway, I'm sure going to miss Bruce. So that's I don't have much else to add.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, let's see.
Are you going to say something?
Yeah. I just want to make sure it's short enough or long enough. There we go. I think right about there. Okay. So,
Oh, he has notes.
well, I have to have notes. I don't know if it's COVID flu or the fog or whether it's just getting old or mental pause.
Lack of drinking.
I mean, I don't know. It's lack of
Have you had a
drinking.
drink?
That's probably it.
had a drink, John?
I did earlier. I went with you. I had these thoughts have been rambling through my head for a few days, and I only got like 3 or 4 here that I collected just now because I was like, oh, I forgot about the tablecloth. I mean, you know, this is so. Was that a Christmas dinner or Easter or what? Christmas?
Was that a Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Were you here? You were here. Okay. So Jillian was here. This was just such a hoot. So we're at this table. Is it
Bruce
that?
is sitting
Is
there.
it that tablecloth?
It was not this table. No, it was.
But it's a real lacy, you know, European style tablecloth because Cecily's just, you know, she's
It was
just.
Queen Victoria's.
Yeah, she is Queen Victoria. Anyway, so here it is, and Bruce is just boisterous as anything, and so here we are, and he's got a big glass of red wine.
We all did.
And we all did, and I think we made a toast and then set it down or something, but anyway, he was just like, oh, and just knocked that thing right over the whole tablecloth, you know. So we were going to just keep it. We were going to
Well,
actually...
we gave him a bad time.
Oh, yeah.
And telling him that it was an heirloom.
Yes.
It was a hand-me-down from the great-great-great-great-grandmother.
That's probably pretty bad, I think.
I mean, it was just, I mean, Bruce is just, oh my gosh, you know, what have I done kind of thing.
Yeah, and I told him it was a gift from the Queen.
He was
Right.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
He was feeling
so,
bad.
yeah, the gift from the Queen, that was good.
So Bruce was feeling badly about it. Now, this will tell you a difference between John and myself. I just wanted to keep the tablecloth, wash it, but not get the stain out, and then every year use the same tablecloth with the stain and put them in the same place, right? You know, and just, oh, hey, Bruce, this is your tablecloth. This one.
We will do that.
Right, so this one, so the next day I get out and he has a bucket of hot water and Oxy-Fresh and he's doing all that and and he got all the wine out. So I'm about ready to take the tablecloth, spill the wine on it, and then we'll have Bruce's tablecloth back.
Can't win for losing.
We couldn't have predicted, right?
Exactly. John, do you do laundry? Come to my house.
I did have it bad because we had an
Judy's up to
I'm not picking up. So, you know, actually, all of you, I mean, the thing is that if it wasn't for the Democrats, we would not be here today.
Amen.
Because,
I don't know, I like Cecily's cooking, John.
well, we were together. I already had that.
Oh.
You can tell there's nothing to waste here, right? But it was the Envision Spokane deal. Anybody here remember Envision Spokane?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
That's what got John going.
Oh my God! I mean, I'm sitting right there where Rob is sitting, watching TV because I'm distracted and we hardly ever watch the news. I was watching the news and here's this thing on here about the river needs rights. People need to have a right to a home. People need a right to public transportation. I mean, so I'm going like, who the hell's going to pay for all that? And I was a Ron Paul supporter, but I wasn't part of the group. I just, you know, I was waiting for my ballot and I'd vote. That was it. So I Googled on Ron Paul Spokane, got the meetup group, signed up for it, got an email the next day, and met Rob down at Auntie's bookstore at a stupid topic of vaccines back then.
Oh, yeah, I remember that meeting.
You know, and it was Chris. That was Chris Bass and
Leaf Lady.
Right.
Leaf Lady, Elfrith or something like that.
She lived down in Garfield.
Yeah, and so they were there, and it was like, oh my God. And I was like, and he was in the back of the room not paying attention. He's walking around talking to somebody on the phone. So I went over, I waited for him to get off the phone. I went over, I said, okay, so I introduced myself, right? And then I said, so what's really going on? Because I was like, where are we going to get involved and fix this stuff, right? So it was just a matter of a couple days, and that was when the Sheriff Mack event was.
Yeah.
Okay? And so we went to that. I think we took somebody with us. I forget who it was, but we took somebody with
No,
us.
that was your deal. I wasn't going to do anything about it.
Oh, I know.
No, I was going to have nothing to do with politics.
Yeah, but you were. Yeah. And so we went down there, and I remember I was really complaining because I couldn't hear the sound very good. So I got. Anyway, within a matter of a very short period of time, we got very involved, and Bruce was right there. The first event that we did, which was the next one at the Greyhound Park, I volunteered to do sound, and so I had our stuff there and Bob Peck's stuff there, a bunch of other stuff, and there's Bruce. Out of nowhere, he's lifting and carrying stuff down there and helping us set stuff up.
He was a great roadie.
He was. He would have been just a terrific real roadie. He would have been a great roadie. But that's what he was doing, and we just became friends. And if I didn't remember that whole story, I wouldn't know how we met, because he's just transparent is really the word for this. It just showed up. Just showed up. So that was how it really kind of happened, 2009. And then, of course, we got involved in, I became a PCO. Dominic and I had the same mentor, Clark Hager, which was just an absolute infusion of history of the area and all the crookedness and all that. Although I don't think that Clark really understood then how the deep state had really moved in, and there was really only one party, not Democrats or Republicans. There was the Uniparty running everything, and it was just, we didn't know that. But it was really an amazing time. What else did I write here? My handwriting is so good. I think the thing that really, that I miss so much about, when I think of Bruce, I think about something that just pops into my head that we had already talked about at some point or another. He was really a walking historian. You know, he knew everything about the books that he'd read. And I've always really loved history, and so that was one of our things that we could actually spend time with and talk about, and those things. And I'll miss that, because it didn't matter what we were doing, if we were pulling an axle out of a Subaru or whatever we were doing, we could always be doing that and talking about things that really mattered to us. The rest of it was just like getting something done so you could get down the road a little further. But he was quite something else, and he loved to have political conversation, not debate so much, because there wasn't too much to debate about. When you got to that level, it was pretty well black and white. So there really wasn't a lot of debate about whether it was right or wrong. It was really more about, like, when are we going to stop this shit? You know, that was kind of the deal. So just, really one of the greatest of us. And I do wish John Christina was here.
Yeah. I didn't know he left.
I didn't know he left.
I think he wasn't feeling well.
No, he's not well.
Okay.
He's not well. But it was, when I looked, in this room, it was Rob Chase, it was John Christina, it was Bruce Thomson, it was, Jim Robinson, who, is older than all of us. He kind of had to fade out a bit, but they were great people. They really taught us, and here we are, the remnant.
What was really neat was I went down to that 4,000 person march, and I didn't know hardly anybody. Usually I always know almost everybody.
Yeah.
Which is good.
My daughter was there.
Janine marched it with us.
Which march?
Does anybody else want to say anything? Anybody else want to say something?
Can I add on to something?
Yep.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, I heard you. Okay, Abby's back.
Oliver.
Oliver, is that your brother?
Oliver,
Oliver. I'm the surrogate.
I know.
Okay.
You're in trouble.
So something came into my mind when his birthday came around. He would always lie about what day his birthday was.
We all know that one.
And his age.
Yeah, and his age. And when me and my mom were trying to get him like birthday stuff, we didn't know what to get him and what day it was. So we'd always do like research, and we'd ask Emma and Dad like what day his birthday is, and they'd always give us a different answer. So we were kind of stuck between like April 1st and like May like 2nd or something. But I remember we were going to the store and I found like this bike wind chime, and he doesn't like decorate. His house is messy. He doesn't decorate. So I got him this bike when I'm trying because he likes bikes and they're everywhere. And I was like, this adds on to his story. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Bike wind chime.
Yeah.
Birthday.
He lies about his birthday. So we were very confused on what day to send the gift to him, and we'd always struggle on what to get him because you guys would always get him the right things, and then there was me trying to figure it out. But he ended up really liking it, and I'm pretty sure one of you guys kept it, which is pretty cool. But yeah, he liked. I don't know.
He had so many of us, on Facebook. He just put his birthday as January 1st.
Yeah, he lied.
So initially, most of us, oh wow, that's pretty cool. He was born on January 1st.
Wasn't it like 1900 or something?
I don't think he put that one part in, but it was. Then he found out, no, that wasn't his birthday. It was.
Mine was 1906.
So I sat here and listened to everybody, and we all knew him well. And you guys can come up with the year that you met him, and maybe even the place or whatever. I can't. All I can remember is here at the house, one time, a while back, we came in, and we came in a little bit late, I think.
No, we're never late.
Oh, no. And there was this guy sitting out on the patio out here with a black t-shirt and black pants on.
Sweat.
And I didn't know who he was, but he was talking to, I think he was talking to Christina. Now, if you were a vet, you were part of the group, and he loved to talk about military. And I spent a couple of years in the Navy, so I fit right in with him. But every time we would come out here, and he would always be here, or he'd come in right after us, he always had on that black t-shirt and those black pants. I was not aware that he owned any other clothing until I heard some of you people talk about some of the stuff that he had worn. But I've got this vision in my mind, and God knows we're all going to miss him. Black shirt and black pants. But if you close your eyes really tight and you think of heaven, and everything is nice and white, and all of the people that are in heaven are in white robes and so forth, and white hair. And then if you really squint and you look off in the distance, you're going to see this short little guy in a black t-shirt and black pants explaining firearms to some guy who looks like he's really important in heaven. A really long white beard, long white hair, and a white robe. And that's going to be our man.
Yes.
And that's the vision that I want to always have in my mind.
Don't forget his ball cap.
Oh, yeah.
I was surprised first time I saw him without it.
Yeah, I think that, the other thing I mentioned when I wrote all of you is what he thought about Front Sight. And the training that he got at Front Sight, and how he really felt that it was important for all of you to experience that. And then the other thing, did he ever go down to Crowder's hunting, or just
No,
was planning on it?
he was going to go with me and Michael with the other wounded vets.
But, guns were a huge part. But, something Bruce said to me, and I never thought it was anything that I had done that was special, but he thanked me one day, just a long time ago, for inviting him out to our dinners and things that way. And he said, when you don't have a partner, you don't get invited often to people's events where everything's couples. And he said, I really appreciated being included. So I share that with all of you, to recognize that when you have a friend in your circle that isn't attached, it's important to include them. Because it's difficult when you don't, to fit into a couple world when you're not a couple. So that was something that I thought was cool of Bruce to share with me, because it didn't dawn on me. But I think it's important for all of us to know.
Well, thank you for inviting us. We got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
We'll send you the pictures.
I'd love to see them. I'd love to see them.
Okay, go ahead, hon.
Okay, I'm Jenna. I'm like the adoptive daughter. I was not as lucky as you guys. You got to choose to have Bruce as your friend, and he was just given to me as family. So from day one, he was a part of my life. Whether I wanted it to be that way always or not. But some of my favorite memories were kind of similar to Oliver's, where you're being dragged to places you necessarily didn't want to go to, but that they turned out to be fun. So some of my fondest memories are going to the Spokane Fairgrounds for the gun shows. He always loved to go to those, and they were really boring for me the first few times, and so I was like, how can we make this more fun? And so Bruce also is a really big fan of chocolate chip cookies, and so we all three kind of brainstormed a side hustle business for me to sell chocolate chip cookies to everybody at the gun range.
Oh my
gosh, at the
really?
fair, yeah.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and Bruce was like, how can people say no? These are old folks who love guns, and you're this cute little girl offering cookies. And so it was a very booming business for me. It kind of helped jumpstart my work ethic in a way. And so he was also a member of Huckleberry's over up on the South Hill, and that's where I had my first job. He had a P.O. box there because, I don't know, probably worried about having people know his address or all the packages that he gets. And so he was very tight with the mail lady there. And so when he would go there to pick up his mail, we would hang out there for like an hour or two, and because he loved to socialize, so that was fine. He was doing his thing, and he would set me up with the worker there, and she would let me come behind the cash register and weigh the packages and put the tape around and put the stamp on, and I got paid in those little fruity candies, and it was awesome for me because it was great. It was free candy for sticking things on like a craft class. So that was good. He, like I said, when I think of him, I think of guns and bikes and just being Hector the Collector. And so one of the things that he really got me into, or I guess I'm not really into it, but one of the things that he expanded my horizons to was being a part of knowing what guns are about and all of that. So he got me into the Junior Rifle Club and got a cool sweatshirt. It was really cool. And then down at the Broadway and Pines gun shop, Keith, who works there, I know him because we would go there and he would talk to them, and I would sit there for like 2 or 3 hours listening to them. Lots of sitting and listening to talking, and kind of related to, you know, his past in the military. You guys are like, he's so energetic and vibrant, and I'm like, he's so loud and everybody's being drawn to our conversation. It was a blessing and a curse for sure, because people all the way across the restaurant knew exactly what we were conversing about, even if I didn't want them to. Or one time, you know, when we go to dinners, he just loved to have that personal interaction, and so the cash register people or the waitresses knew about my life because Bruce just loved to gloat and boast about all the positive things in life, and so it was embarrassing for me at the time, but a lot of my life I feel like it was the embarrassing things that I look back at. Facebook, I have like probably over 100 posts from Bruce that's just like, here's this cute cat meme, and I'm like, hide from timeline because I don't want people to see me as a 23-year-old being like, why is this strange person posting a cat on your wall at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Just funny things like that. We also went swimming a lot, and he really loved to go swimming a lot. He was a member at Move and somewhere else before then, but he really loved to take me swimming as well, and so there's a park pool by my house that he would always take me to, and he would get in the, you know, it wasn't like he was just taking me there and then go be and fend for yourself. He was in there too with his swim trunks on and timing me and the other random boys that were in the pool to see who could hold their breath longer, and letting me know when they did come up for air and that I actually was the true winner, and little things like that. He took me horseback riding a lot, which I appreciated too. Let's see, I don't know, it was just kind of like the good, he was kind of like the father figure that I had in the good ways, where he would take me on all the fun activities, but not in the sense where he had to yell at me or raise me or give me that two-sided aspect of things. I only had to deal with mom for that, so it was kind of like a positive win for me, where it was only the good. It was the good cop, bad cop, and all he had to do was be the good cop. So yeah.
Tell him what he would call you when he would come in the house.
So until Oliver came along, I was the favorite girl in the whole wide world, and that's what he wrote on every birthday card. And I'll never forget that.
We've always been so quiet.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good conversationalist.
Yeah. So he's definitely very loved.
Yes.
And that's, I guess, from the beginning. So yeah, most of my fun memories came when I was like old enough to actually go out and do things. A lot of the embarrassing things too, though, like being picked up in the Subarus and them walking all around. You know how he had his own little scent. That was his own little thing too that I got to be a part of. And going back to in the beginning, I wouldn't say that we were best friends from the start, because one of the Christmases I'm getting Elmo dance and sing and Barbie dolls and all these fun little gifts, and I opened one of my Christmas gifts and it's this dinosaur puzzle, and I look at my mom and I'm like, this is a boy's toy, I don't want this. And he was not very excited probably, or laughed pretty hard, because he put some good thought into that dinosaur puzzle. And even up to being in my 20s, it was those little quirky gifts, pile of coal or the monkey butt powder, funky gloves that he got from who knows where, or all the random coffee. I don't even drink coffee, but he gave me like 4 cafe Monet or whatever those yellow coffee things are called. He's a very thoughtful guy and always went out of his way to try to make people happy and build those relationships. Even like with my brother, you know, at family events, he'd be like, go give your brother a hug, you know, or go up and give your mom a hug, tell her how much you love her. And it's important to have those people to push you to maintain those relationships.
Perfect. Thank you.